is special because what we have, we offer to each other. That's what makes it special. And I'm happy to be a part of this group. So today we have as our special guest and guest speaker, Frank Capasso. He's a realtor, and he's going to share his information with you guys, or with us, and I'm going to turn the floor over to him.
I'm just going to talk about pricing, and I shouldn't be that long. Chella will tell you I'm talkative, so I got to be careful.
That's cool.
I've been selling real estate for 30 years as of this month. So I've survived quite a bit. Not that I haven't had to occasionally take the part-time job or sell everything I own. But there's a few things. This market is so different than anything I've ever dealt with. In the past, when interest rates went up, it was like the neutron bomb of the industry. It knocked out all the buyers, left the homes. Well, now we still have a shortage. And I've never seen that before. In the past, when we've had high interest rates, usually there was a surplus. And we really don't see adjustments down when things like that happen. Prices stagnate. In the past, it's been up until the 2000s. It was steady 2-3% interest. Steady 2%, 3% growth. And then after that, I'm sure everybody remembers how it went crazy. And then we had the insanity of the 2008, 2012. I don't see that happening again, but I know that there are some challenges out there. So when you're doing, just to balance it, how long have people been doing real estate here? I know, Freddie, you've been doing it for 25 years?
About 25 years.
Okay. Is fix and flips, buy and hold, what is?
Buy and hold.
Buy and hold, basically, for me.
I do everything with wholesale.
Okay. I hear you. And the reason why I bring this up is because, to me, one of the most important parts of doing anything is the after repaired value, because you want to make sure that if you're flipping, you need to make sure you're making your $30,000-$40,000, whatever the number you put it in there. And then if you're holding it, you want to do your best to refi it and get as much out.
Right.
And I'll be real candid with you. I've been doing this for 30 years, and I wouldn't give you a dime for 90% of the agents out there. They're just not smart, and that includes the ones that are doing big business. They're just good marketers. They have a steady flow of business. But here's something that I've introduced to a lot of people that make them say, "What?" If you're looking to flip something, you need to make sure that they're giving you a quick sale. And let me introduce you to something you may or may not have heard: speculation time. If you're doing a flip, my guess is you want that to turn over as quickly as you can.
Yes.
And there's a difference between I need to sell now, I want this done in 30 to 45 days, and I don't care when it sells. So be very careful when you're talking to agents, because most agents don't really understand pricing something to go. They, in this market, I would always encourage you, especially, to pay more attention to the sold properties and make sure that you're comparing apples to apples. And when I say that, make sure you're comparing one-story homes to one-story homes, one story with a basement to one story with a basement. And there's a whole bunch of different terms, and I'm sorry I can't really break them down, but like I'll see 1.5 stories versus 2 stories. And as long as there's a dozen stairs or whatever is going to the second floor, it's really a 2-story, but they'll call it a 1.5 because it's like a Cape Cod, or it's a bungalow built out where they did a dormer. So I would always tell you, look at the pictures and make sure that you're comparing apples to apples. And one of the biggest things that drives me crazy is when people give too much value to a finished basement with a third bedroom. Don't let any agent do that to you. If it's got 2 bedrooms on the main floor, make sure whatever you're comparing it to has 2 bedrooms on the main floor. If it's got 2 bedrooms on the main floor, 2 upstairs, do your best to compare it to that. Don't let them, well, it's a 4-bedroom ranch, it's all on the main floor, you're good. No, it's not. It's a different style. And I don't like to talk out of my nose, but I can just tell you my findings. I was doing a pricing up in Mundelein, in a really nice area around one of the lakes. And in the past, when I got into real estate, a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath, 2-story colonial was the thing, with a basement. You had that was everybody's dream. I'm not finding that to be true now. I'm finding that people want ranches as the baby boomers get older and such like that. And interestingly enough, one of the guys that I was advising on price, it's on for $599 if I'm not mistaken. It's a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath, 2-story in Mundelein, and he thinks it's worth in the 490s. I would agree with him. Interestingly enough, now it's been on the market for 80 days or something like that. So please forgive me, I'm trying to remember everything, so I might not be giving you 100%, but it's trying to give you a feel for it. I know they need to lower their price no matter what, but interestingly enough, when I pulled comps, there were sizable ranches, similar in square footage, that sold for $600,000. But I'm going to caution you. One of the things when you're dealing with wholesalers, they'll pull the comps for you and say, look at these comps, and you've got yourself a ranch, and they're comparing it to split levels and they're comparing it to 2 stories. Don't let them do that to you. You pull your own comps. You'll have my information. Feel free to call me. I find that Zillow and Redfin are dicey at best. You know, if you're in a cookie cutter neighborhood, chances are you'll be okay.
Right.
If everything in the neighborhood is very similar, at least you've got a rule of thumb. And then what I would encourage you to do is see if you've got something you could write a contract on, then give me a call and I'll make sure you have the right analysis. So, you know, feel free. Again, you'll have my information at the end of this. I'm a giver, trust me on that one. But everything I wanted you to take away from this was the after repaired value. Be very cautious with it. I see too many people that, one of the guys, I met Cello through Click Invest. And you remember Jim? Sorry, Jim, I don't mean to pick on you, but it's going to be on tape, sorry. He saw the market going where the market didn't end up going, and they had to reduce the price by a very significant, I think they were off by roughly 25%.
Wow.
You know, that's too much to be off.
Yeah.
When you say, you know, I was off by 5-10%, $10,000, okay. That could be. But in our business, we can't really even afford that. We need to make sure that whatever we're doing is consistent with what we can actually get at this time.
Absolutely.
But what if you have a property and all the comps that sold were split level or double, but none of what you have has sold in less?
Then you are going to have to kind of play with it a little bit. That's kind of a conversation we'd have to look at the scenario you're talking about together. Because I understand sometimes there's no comps. If you have access to the MLS or something, you know, I would prefer to go back and allow for appreciation than to go to other areas or to other styles of comps. So I would prefer to go back 18 months or 2 years and say, okay, we know this. Okay, haven't had anything. I would tell you also be very careful when you're looking at the ones that are active. That's what I've watched people get in trouble with. Is they go, look what somebody's asking for this. Yeah, but they didn't get it. What you care about is the evidence of what has sold.
Absolutely.
Right.
And at this point, that's kind of all I have to say. I could beat everything I said to death.
Where are you located?
I'm in Des Plaines,
Okay.
and my brokerage is out of Antioch.
Wow.
But I service the whole Chicagoland area. I've been down to Calumet. I've been down to Harvey. I've been down to everything along the line. So, you know, please, if you have questions, I'm a giver. I will pull comps for you. When you're pulling things, this is sorry about that. Very important. I always stay within the neighborhood or the viaducts. A lot of times when you see people pull things, they'll say, you know, it's within a half a mile. Well, a lot of things can change in a half a mile,
Yeah.
especially, and I don't know the city that well, so please forgive me for what I'm about to say if it's wrong. Like if you're going east of Halstead or west of Halstead, that might be the dividing line right there
Yes.
between, you know, 10,000, 20,000, 100,000. I don't know. I know that when I was doing something out on North Shore Avenue or something like that, at 4,400 roughly, you know, I went through, saw Mercedes-Benz, and then the neighborhood we went into, I didn't see any difference. but it turned out to be there was a significant difference. So, viaducts, different main streets, railroad tracks, please always take those into account and do your best to stay within the main streets. And then, of course, the viaduct, railroad tracks and such like that. Even if you're talking about a park, sometimes being on one side of the park versus the other side of the park can actually make a difference. So do your best to stay as close to the property as possible. That's the only thing I need you to take out of what I just said.
So I know you touched on a little bit of it's not worth in the basement, like adding a bedroom, things of that sort.
It's got utility value,
Okay, utility.
but it does not have after repaired value or appraisal value. Because it's a finished basement, you're not adding
Right.
square footage.
Got it. Because sometimes I hear from other investors, they'll say, "Oh, I'm adding a bedroom with an egress window," but you never know if it's going to appraise for that. If it's going to appraise for that room, then maybe if it's 3 on the above grade, they may say a +1 at the bottom. But you'll get the rent out of it, but you might not get the ART out of it.
Exactly. Again, when I first was working with you, they would evaluate 2 bedrooms, and the big difference is between a 2-bedroom and a 3-bedroom. That's your biggest jump. The 3 to 4 bedroom isn't typically as much.
Okay.
And I mean, you're sometimes talking about 20%, 30% sometimes for that bedroom, and that's the extreme, but it's true. Again, you have utility value. So if you're talking about Section 8, you could get that, assuming it's set up to their standards. But as far as actual after repaired value, I'd be one bet very seldom, if ever, when you get the value out of that. And certainly, if you go to resell it, calling it a 3-bedroom, and you're competing against other 3-bedrooms, you will not get anywhere near the price. That I assure you. Yes?
What about, if you have, maybe 3 bathrooms, they're all very small, and you want to, make one of the bathrooms a half bath versus a full bathroom, or to have a bigger bath, does that make a lot of difference?
That would depend on the market.
Yeah.
I would say for the typical, I wouldn't touch it.
Okay.
If you have 3 full baths,
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it. I would tell you that for most people, the 3 full baths has more value to them than 1 big bath and 1 smaller bath. That would be my opinion.
Okay. Because everybody's into these luxury baths now. They want a big kitchen and they want a big bathroom.
Most of us are dealing with older homes.
Yeah.
Homes that were built in the 70s and before, and they were still locked into the compartmentalization
Right.
from the days when you had to close off a room if you weren't in there because the heat, you only had so much heat coming from the fireplace, and believe it or not, that carried all the way through, even after HVAC was the regular thing in homes. The homes didn't start to open up with the big rooms, the living room and dining room being one, till the 60s, and then it really didn't catch hold where the high ceilings and such like that in the newer homes till the 80s. So a lot of times those older homes are compartmentalized, and unless you're going to really do a renovation, I mean like a big one, I think you're just better off leaving it to the 3 bath. Anything else I can answer?
Do you want to touch base on the new news that just came out about the NARS, the National Association of...
I'm not versed in that.
Okay.
I know that that's going to change things, but I don't know how. I'm sorry.
Okay.
What was this? What thing?
It's
About the...
Compensation
they were
for the
sued, yeah.
buyer's agents.
right.
Oh,
They've been talking about that
Yeah.
for a while.
So yeah.
What is it, you guys? What is
I'll
it?
tell you. Okay, basically, in the past, the sellers paid the commission, the compensation for the agents. There was a suit filed, basically.
No, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry.
I got me talking about something I really should be up here talking about. Okay, so basically, what the suit's saying is that the seller shouldn't be responsible for paying compensation on both sides. That the buyer should have to pay compensation or be a part of it or whatever. It's something to that effect.
Okay.
So a lawsuit was filed. And the way that they're saying now is that a seller doesn't have to give compensation to the buyer's agent.
Whoa.
So, yeah, they don't have to, and that's why, as a agent, if you have a buyer, you need to explain to them how you get paid, what you're being compensated for. I believe they're coming up with a form or whatever that goes along with that, that basically kind of is gonna tell the buyer, well, if I'm not getting anything from the seller, you're gonna be responsible for paying my
So
compensation.
this is actually passed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is-
It's been passed,
Yeah.
and I think it's gonna become effective, I think they said
July.
mid-July.
Yep.
Right.
Wow.
So,
And that's NAR?
no, yeah, the National Association of Realtors,
So
yeah.
that's national, that's all over
Yeah.
across the- Wow.
But the thing is like, we can't put it in the MLS. Is what the restriction is. So it's something that has to be negotiated outside of, and you have to talk to your buyer and let them know. It's just like let's say I'm the seller's agent, and the seller says, well, I'm only gonna pay you 4% and that's it. I'm not paying anything else. If
Right.
you wanna split it, then that's fine. As the buyer's agent, if she wants to buy that property or he wants to buy the property, I may say my compensation is 2.5 or 3%. And if the seller's agent is not willing to give up any of their compensation, then it's on the buyer to pay my percentage.
So you all have to, both agents gonna have to communicate with each other
Yeah,
on the
basically,
compensation.
yeah.
It'll be in the MLS.
Right.
What they're paying, what they're not paying.
It
But what
will.
That's the way it is now.
They said
They're
they
trying
will
to
not-
stop it. They're
trying to stop
They're
it.
stopping it from
Yeah.
going in the MLS. I
Yeah.
just was on listening yesterday, and they're saying, and you probably got an email about it because I went back and read my email too. That says that they're going to be preventing that from being put in the MLS. That's what the whole
Okay,
thing
so
is.
buyer's compensation will no longer.
It
be
will
in-
not
No.
be in the MLS
No.
anymore. So it's got to be settled amongst. Right now, it's like 6%. It's a 6%
Yeah.
compensation, and usually that 6% is paid by the seller,
Right.
and it's usually split between the seller and the buyer's
Absolutely.
agent.
Right.
Somebody filed suit, I guess a seller, and
That
was
the
like,
seller.
"Look, why should I have to pay to sell my house? You want it sold, don't you?"
What state was that?
I don't-
Illinois,
It was Illinois?
yeah.
So that's gonna be.
And some brokerages have settled. Because it was, some of them were broker specific. So
Well,
So
you
that's gonna be
know,
the case law then.
Yeah,
it's
it's
already
been-
it's already
It's
already
been-
been out
yeah.
there. It's been
but
settled.
guys, real lenders were affected years ago. And you gotta know my background must be origination, right, as a lender. That's why I'm not in the business anymore. They don't make nearly what they used to make years ago. So it's just years catching up to the realtors now. And if you live in other states, which is one reason why I hated Houston, I don't know if they changed the laws now, but Texas, the customers will call you up and say, I want to buy a house. How much are you going to give me towards the cost of buying? It was so bad from this type of thing going on that you couldn't even make any money anymore. So because they also they didn't have a law where the realtors could not do loans as well. So most people in the business do the loan and the real estate transaction. So then they feel like, well, you're making so much money, you need to pay all my closing costs and you need to pay part of my down payment and all those kinds of things. So I mean, I think a lot of this in the long run, even though it hurts your pocket, it's gonna clean a lot of that stuff up, you know?
Fraud.
Yeah, it's gonna clean up a lot of that stuff.
So will it be still the same 5 to 6%, or y'all just kinda, oh,
Well, I mean, as a buyer, it really doesn't make a difference because you'd be paying, if the seller's not gonna pay the whole compensation, then you as the buyer have to pay.
okay.
Like, let's say I put in my contract, that's why we have a exclusive buyer's agreement. And in that agreement says, I'm gonna get 3% compensation. If for some reason I only get 2.5 from the seller, you're responsible for that other 0.5%.
It's in the
And they gotta
contract.
bring
It's
that
in
to
the
the
contract,
close.
it's
in
in
there.
the
They
contract,
gotta
that's
bring
why,
that to the close.
yeah.
Well, mostly when
Oh, it
you,
can be included in the
mostly when
hood.
you do a subject to on the financing, let's say I did, and the owner give me a lot of money, I would tell, let's say, I would tell the realtor, say, look here, I'm getting this much money, I give you some out of it, because he wanna make sure he gets paid. You follow what I'm saying? So I said, well, look here, and he wants to, let's say, if he bring me a nice deal, you guys gonna carry back paper, and give him, I say, okay, we'll put down, well, you won't get this kind of money when we close. So he wants the deal to go through.
Everybody got
It's,
your pay.
he made the statement that, you know, a lot of the realtors, you say, 92% of something is not as professional. It's gonna clean that up too, because people like you,
Hey.
Jessica, right? That really, you know, are professional, you're a salesperson, you do everything you could for your customer. So a lot of realtors don't really do anything. They just, you
That's
just
a
have
fact.
people, right,
That's a
Yeah.
fact.
who are trying to buy a house.
That was gonna
and they
be
just,
my
you know,
next point.
They look online and they find their own houses and then they tell them, oh, I'm interested in this house. So it's gonna clean that up, because they're gonna have to work now.
Because my question would be, as a buyer's broker, what would incentivize you to put forth effort to find a client a home if you're not going to receive full compensation?
Right.
What would inspire you to go out and drive around and
Show houses.
show
That
houses?
exclusive buyer's agreement, the
That's what I said, the
contract.
contract.
Right. They've had
When-
conversation with their
in most
customers.
instances, like, let's say I'm working with April, and we find a property, and she wants to put a contract on it. When she puts that contract in, she signed that buyer's exclusive agreement.
That
And
she's
in that
with-
agreement, it says she's gonna give me, at this point, I'm saying 2.5% as a buyer's agent, cause that's what I'm usually getting from most sellers,
Correct.
agents. So I just put in 2.5%. It
Whether
could
or
be
not
quick.
the seller contributes or not.
Correct.
That's
What
true,
about,
but
what about banks?
That's
Okay.
gonna unfortunately make it harder for a lot of people to buy.
Exactly, and
That's
that's
what
what,
I'm
and
saying.
that's what the
That's
problem
gonna
say,
make
it's
it
gonna
harder.
make it hard for people to buy because they don't have the money to put down.
Right.
And so how are they gonna pay the compensation? Well,
good point.
Especially if the seller's not contributing.
you want the property, you find a way.
Wow.
In the past, you might remember this from the late 90s, early 2000s, there were things called Home Gift USA,
Yeah. I heard-
Nehemiah.
Yeah.
And what they would do is you find a home and you add your down payment to it. What you would hope is that you give the seller full price and they give you 3% back. But what they would do is donate it to the charity. The charity would take a fee out of it and then donate your down payment, because there's only a few places you can get your down payment at that time, from a family member, from yourself, or from a charity. So they would ride that line, and this might be one of those things where the lenders have to come in and finance the,
Down payment and.
finance, not down payment, but finance the real estate
The
commission.
The real estate
You
commission.
know, hey, we'll help you find a home,
Yeah.
and, you know, of course, it's just gonna go into the final
But they
number
have
that you
so
pay.
many- they have so many down
I'm talking
payments.
out of my nose, I'm being honest with you. I'm just saying maybe that is a solution.
Well, but they also have a lot of down payment assistance programs
Mm-hmm.
nowadays where the buyer doesn't really have to come up with the down payment. So if they're not coming up with it, then they should be able to afford the little 2.5% or 3% or whatever to purchase. One
You
would
would
think.
think.
Right.
Well, that's
Um,
what's allowing them to be able to buy them, because they're getting the down payment.
Yeah,
assistance.
most of us, a lot
Yeah,
of,
but I'm
and there's a lot of programs out there like NACA and,
There's a lot of grants out there, right?
yeah, there's grants and stuff.
Well, you
that
got
help.
those coming from the federal,
Right.
state,
And state.
county,
Right.
But you
and
guys
city.
gotta remember, those are low-income people who are able to qualify for that. So, I mean, if you make a decent income, you can barely afford to live and buy groceries nowadays. Never mind if you low
Well,
income.
you know,
True
what,
enough.
NACA's not just necessarily for low income. They help people with their down payment program. It's just that you have to, there are certain guidelines you have to do, in order qualify. Like
You have to
once
attend
you have to attend
Their
their
classes.
their
You
classes.
have to their
And
classes.
You have to
volunteer.
volunteer once a
Yeah.
year
Yes,
for five. I
right.
think it's 5 years, and you
Right.
have to stay in the property for 5 years,
Right.
and then you're not held. You don't have to
You're
pay
not
back
obligated.
that
So you
that
can make
down
any
payment.
income?
Huh?
You can make any income?
Yeah. Well, my
It's not
sister-in-law
income
works. My
driven.
sister-in-law makes a pretty decent salary. She works for the county, and she qualifies for NACA. So I mean, yeah, they look at your income and they tell you how much house you can afford, just like any other lender. They'll tell you how much you can afford to get. You know what they can do for you, and you just have to meet the go to the
During
class.
that,
and-
during NACA's screening process, I used to be
Is that the one
a
that's
rep.
NRA?
No,
Okay.
no. I used to be a rep with NACA, and during their screening process, they base everything on their, debt to income ratio, everything. Well, especially with NACA, because you got to go through their system in order to qualify, and they have NACA brokers right there in the
Right.
agency that they will definitely help you buy a home if you can qualify, and they can down to the penny tell you how much you are qualified for. So when you complete the
Right, I
program,
went through-
they're not gonna send you to a $800,000 home when you can only afford a $400,000.
When I first came here, I did apply for one of those programs because I heard about that city has all this down payment assistance. I've only been back in Chicago a little over 4 years now, and I didn't qualify. If you're a single person who doesn't have children, then a lot of times that's gonna knock it, because the income sliding scale, I made too much, and and I still don't think to me,
You just have to find a program. So how long did you work for NACA?
I was only with them 2 years, 3 years.
Okay, I need to ask you a question. So I do have a NACA loan on my pre-flat. All right, so I'm very familiar with NACA. I did not have to do any kind of down payment. I didn't have private mortgage insurance. I was able to drive
Absolutely.
down my interest rates.
Absolutely.
My interest rate is a 1.875 on a
Oh,
pre-flat.
wow.
So, and I've been in there for about 5 years, 5.5 years now. So it's a great
you have
program.
to live in it though.
Yeah, I have to live in
She had
it.
to
As
live
long
in
as I have that loan, that has to be my permanent residence,
Yes.
right? And so the first 5 years, NACA has a $25,000 lien on my property,
Absolutely.
but 5,000 drops off for
Every-
each year.
Each
So now it's
year.
dropped
Right.
off,
It's
right?
gone.
Yeah, it's gone now. So I'm trying to figure out a way.
But look, after
move on
5
to my
years,
next.
after
After
5
5
years,
years.
you
Yeah.
can refinance.
Yeah,
Three,
yeah.
five,
But look at the rates. I got a 1.875.
Oh, that's
Get out that loan.
that's the thing
Yeah,
that
she ain't get that kind of
Oh,
loan.
yeah, we get that.
That
So, yeah.
has super
It's great. It was
interest
well
rates.
worth it. Anybody got
But
questions? I can tell y'all
After
about
5
it.
years.
Where'd you do your classes at?
It was on. Now they do them online.
Oh, yeah, I did mine at home with the time.
Yeah, now they do 'em online.
They told me that I was working at Al, they told me not to work some, they told me.
But their Southside office
They
is
told
on
me not to make too much money. They
63rd.
told me stop working overtime.
The Southside office is, for anybody who wants to know, the Southside office is on 63rd.
63rd and what?
It's just west, so like Lawndale, over west, just a little bit before
Angela,
Cicero.
after 5 years, can't you rent out the property you're at?
Yes,
I
absolutely.
can only if I can I got
Oh,
to
you gotta
refinance.
refinance.
I got to refinance off that loan.
Yeah.
That's it.
But
And
I'm
the only
talking
way-
about the
Not
interest rates is too
refinance,
good.
just
She not gonna ever get no.
it's hard to get it. I got to figure out a way to get out of it.
But
But
why do
after,
you wanna get out?
wait a minute, after
I
5,
want to be able to rent repeat and buy another 3 or 4 flats.
Well, can't you just do a home equity loan, a second loan on it? And to get your
I
equity out that way?
still have to reside in that property, right? I want to be able to qualify for it as a.
I thought after 5 years.
Yeah, after 5 years,
years,
the
we can
$25,000 lien is gone. They
Yeah,
put
the
a
lien.
lien, a $25,000 lien on your property. Every year they knock off 5,000. So after the 5th year, they no longer have a lien on the property. Yes, she can move and refinance, but the problem is she will not have the same interest rate.
rate.
Why do you need to refinance? I don't understand why you keep saying it. Just do a home equity loan and get your equity out that way.
I want to be able to move out of my place where I'm at and buy another.
But you should.
As
She want a house, she want a house though.
It must,
No,
it,
as long as I have that loan,
with
Right.
NACA,
With
as a
NACA,
NACA
you
approved,
have to live
I have to be.
NACA
that has
underwritten,
to be my permanent.
NACA underwrote that loan. So with NACA as the one that's the underwriter for that loan, she's obligated
To live there.
to live there
Until
for
she-
that
until she
contract to
refinance.
expire.
Refinance, I'm okay.
Yes.
But not in no 1.87.
Definitely not a good time to
You
refinance.
ain't gonna never
No,
get
no.
to one
Never
point.
get that.
No, that's gone.
It ain't gonna hit that.
I ain't mad at you.
But I tried NACA and for my first home and they turned me down. And it must be because I was single and didn't have a child.
I don't understand that because there were a lot of, there were single people in the program that I was, exactly.
No, they turned me down.
She filed a bill, so her property
She gonna have income coming.
That could have been what it was, that you were looking at a single family where she was
Right.
looking at a
Right, that had
multi-unit
income.
that had income coming in. Your DTI may have been off. Where
I
you
can't
would-
remember what it was.
That could have
This
been
was
it.
way back in '79 somewhere. So
That could
I
have
don't
been it,
know.
that at that time, the market would not have allowed you to hold a single family home in the market at that time. Okay? Because of the DTI, and especially if you were looking in the,
A scale, like they do have like areas.
in the bougie
But it's
neighborhood.
based on.
It wasn't bougie. It was Beverly.
Excuse me, man.
I was reading over that.
All right, hey, you know, we got a little bit of time, and I want to ask everybody a question. Go ahead.
Go ahead, ask the question, I wanna talk at you.
Go ahead.
No, you first.
So that is real quick, all right? So on last week, Marcus and I went and saw a couple of properties and we stumbled on another property that was empty, right? So we just went over there and just looked. I was like, this is not on here. We couldn't find it on, Redfin. And we went over there and looked and we was able to get in there and check it out. And so Marcus, being a realtor himself, looked and found the property and we found it was a package. Somebody is selling a rental package deal that is 19 properties that he's willing to sell only as a package. And so knowing, the fact that having something sold that amount as a bulk is a possibility of getting things as a discount. So before, just looking at that, Marcus and I was just talking about it and was like, hey, present it to the team. Is anybody interested in probably checking out these properties and buying up this package?
I am.
Hello?
So we were in Riston Park. So some of them are Riston Park and some of them are in Park Forest. And I don't know as far as what the other properties are. Marcus and I are willing to just go out to go check out each of those properties. Hey, split it up with Jessica. You, Marcus, split it up with Jessica and just do those numbers on those properties and see if we can all get together and buy that rental property.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like 19 of them.
But like I said, is the option to,
You don't
No
want
split,
to.
no.
flip, or is it?
Oh, I'm pretty sure it is. It's some of them. It's a rental
Once
bundle,
you
right?
do what you wanna
So
do.
once we buy it, you can figure out we can,
What you want to
But
do.
you
live it out
cannot,
and
the
decide on.
seller
how you-
will not allow you
No,
to cherry pick.
he wants you to
No, he won't.
buy the whole thing.
And how many
Both
is it?
packages are
19.
19.
It's 19 packs.
Did he give you Nancy?
No, we stop right there. We just stop right there. Right before, see, Marcus, all those questions I told you.
Well, 9 times out of 10, I've bought both properties before. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna get some that are in move-in condition. There are some that's gonna be in.
That's why they put it in bulk.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's people
exactly.
already in place in the.
Some of them are.
Okay, most
And
of
some
them
of 'em not.
already
Some of them
right
need to
now.
be
Yes.
demolished. So don't expect to get move-in ready
Ready
properties.
properties. Correct.
You
We weren't
remember the
expecting
first
it. We
property
weren't
that
expecting
you
it.
was trying to sell off as a bulk,
Yeah, she wasn't a group member at
She
that
was,
time.
right, she was.
Oh,
I'm like, I don't know
What
what
about
that
when
is.
financing on something like that? That's gonna be considered commercial. When you talking about a.
No, not if they're
huge
single-family
down
homes. You can buy them as a bulk, as a single-family package, and if you're getting a hard money loan,
payment.
yeah, or a private lender,
Yeah, private one.
they can definitely finance those packages for you.
See?
We'll have to look at the number, we'll look at the
Yeah, we'd
numbers.
have to look at the
'Cause
numbers.
You know what, okay, so that brings us, we better
Okay,
talk about what we talked about last week.
Let's do it.
Okay, so last week, most of you all weren't here.
Last week?
Last month, I'm
Last
sorry.
month.
Last
Last
month, most of you all weren't here, and one of the things we were talking about was, as a group, maybe we should try to go in and revitalize a particular neighborhood. So,
That be good too.
yeah, so we were talking about maybe like picking out an area that is underserviced, and as a group, maybe, you know, because people are buying up blocks. And then going in and getting these houses fixed up, either for rental or to flip them or whatever like that. And we were gonna present it to the group, which I wish more people was here today, and see if that would be of some interest to everybody, you know. And then you all happen to bring that up.
We thinking on the same level.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is what we talked about last month.
Yes, we did.
When it was only like a handful of us here. But that's something that we thought about doing, because we as a community need to get these underserviced areas up and running again. You know, Roseland used to be a thriving place.
Oh, that was beautiful.
You know,
Yeah.
back in the heyday. You know, Pullman and West Pullman, which is coming up again,
Yep.
was thriving.
Like she said, Auburn Gresham.
Yeah.
I grew up in Auburn Gresham.
All
When
of
we-
these
when we
places.
first moved there, that was a beautiful
What
place
about
to
that
live.
company, I forget the name, they get the house, what's the name?
The company that does what?
They have a lot of properties.
You talking about New
Land
Western?
bank or something like
Land
that?
bank.
Cook
Bank.
County Land Bank.
They
I'm
have-
associated with them.
There's
Land bank.
there's
They have a
Cook
lot.
County, there's the Cook County Land Bank, and then
the
there's the
South
South
Suburban.
Suburban Land Bank Authority.
Right.
They're two separate land banks. They do basically the same thing. It's easier. The South. I'm familiar more with the South Suburban Land Bank because you can go online, look at their stuff, and it's real easy. They don't have a whole lot, but you can make out. You can navigate through it. When you go on the Cook County Land Bank site, boy, you need a degree.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's where I bought my first flip.
Look, I started looking through there, and it's not.
They don't have a lot.
It's not user
It's not
friendly. It's not
user-friendly.
user friendly because I'll click on a property, I'll put my filters in, and I click on the property and look at it like, okay, let me go back. I go back and I got to re-put all my filters back in. That's not user friendly to me. If I have to put the filters in each time, that's not user friendly.
Yeah.
So, but when I go into the South Suburban, they're just like right there. They give you the address, to tell you what kind of home it is. Sometimes they show you the pictures, you know. The process of getting one is real simple because usually they list them on the MLS. You can go and see them. They have their own little application that you have to fill out. Within that application, you have to put down your scope of work, what it is that you plan on doing with the house, you know. Are you repairing the roof? And in most cases, the roof, you know, most of their places in the South Suburbs, I'm telling you right now, are gut rehabs. They are guts. You know, because you're working on one. He's working on one for a mastery student who's a friend of mine that I referred him to. And I remember the property, and it was a gut. I mean, everything needed to be touched. But because it's a small home, it was less than 1,000 square feet, it wasn't a whole lot. You know, I mean, yes, it was a lot, but when you get it for like $30,000 or $40,000, you can afford to put 50 or 60 into it, and then turn around and pick up an additional 50 or 60.
Easy.
But see, my problem was when buying those houses like that, when you only, like you buy it for 30,000 and you only putting 60 in it, most of the lenders was telling me it has to be at least 100,000.
Because the property is so low.
Right.
They ever telling you that?
Yeah, a lot of
It's-
the lenders that I was going to
They have
looked at those.
Because they're not gonna make any money.
Yeah, it's hard to get their loan for
But you
less
know
than
what?
100.
Right, it is.
Right.
I'll agree. It is. You just have to find the right lender, or
Right.
if you have a lender that you've been working with,
Absolutely.
they'll make exceptions. And I'll tell
Absolutely.
you why I know this. You know, in the beginning, everybody was such Albeca. You know, they was putting Albeca down. Well, I was one of the people that used Albeca, and when I got ready to do my last one property, I only bought the property for like $27,000. And I put 40 into it to repaint the house,
Yeah,
sand the
update.
floors, redo the basement, put a bathroom down there, and it was some electrical stuff that needed to be done. When I went to Albeca and told them this is what I needed, they were like, well, you know, that's kind of low, but since we've worked with you in the past, we'll make an exception. Did I have to pay a little more in fees? Yeah, because it was so low. But if it's with somebody that you have worked with in the past, normally they will work with you because you have dealt with them in the past. So don't try to go to somebody you ain't never worked before, because you probably won't get it. Go back to somebody that you used to working with, and then they'll probably give you the loan. Because most lenders do not.
A question, just a quick
Well,
question.
I have to-
When you buy a property in a neighborhood like that, you're able to find buyers that can qualify to buy them?
In an area like Roseland or.
Yeah, where you're saying everything is a gut rehab,
Probably
everything
talking
needs
about
to
Park.
be. I don't know the area, I'm just thinking of, if you're in an area that's really depressed area and everything is a gut rehab area, you're able to find buyers who wanna live in that area.
Definitely.
Will
Yeah,
No
buy.
doubt.
you'll be surprised. You'll be
Yeah.
surprised because you have people that may have grown up in the Roseland area. Let's just say, and they left, and now they want to come back because
Inglewood,
you
same
got to
way.
remember, if you see how Chicago changed. At one point, we were living in the city. We got pushed out. They regentrified the city. And then now, you know, it's like, okay, first you in the city, now you moved out to the suburbs, now they want you want the suburbs back. Certain areas are up and coming. Inglewood was up and coming at one point. They put a whole lot of money into Inglewood. Yeah, it's still some crime, but it's not as bad as it used to be. You got your Whole Foods out there. They put the college over there
Well,
close
they closed
to
that.
Halston.
They
They closed the
They
Whole
closing
Foods.
everything on the south
They
side,
closed
unfortunately.
Whole Foods, yeah.
And that's
Yeah, they
because
taking everything away from
people start going other places.
Other places.
Look at Cabrini Green.
But that was the whole
Yeah.
point. That was the whole
That's
point of
gold.
us.
It's like $500,000
Oh, that's,
over there.
all them puppies over them stockbrokers and everybody.
But
That
look at
was
what
the
they
whole
did on
point of
Roosevelt
us.
Road.
Exactly. That was the
Yeah.
whole point of us talking about this.
Yes.
About bringing the money back into our community. Because if we start doing that in Roseland and in Inglewood, it'll bring those big box stores back into the community. And it'll force, because if the middle income families start living in those homes that we redevelop, those communities will be forced to raise their education level. They'll upgrade the libraries, the parks. The community itself will become a much better tax base.
That's what's
Yeah, but-
happening. in
Well, the Spanish is already
all
doing
the
it.
conversations
Right.
around-
The Spanish
How
already
could
in Inglewood already. They're already doing it.
Well, that's the problem, Freddie.
I got relatives
is that,
in Inglewood. I
that
know
we
about
need
that.
to, is, that's why we're talking here today. So that we as a group could not just stop them, but we want to be able to improve our own community.
I agree with you. I agree with
How
you.
can you get, how can you
100%.
structure a deal like that though, where all of
We
us?
have to have the right lender.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
We have to have our
Either
paperwork
private
in
or
order.
hard money
Yeah.
lenders, and our funds have to be intact. Secondly, we can, if we use some of the politicians, local politicians, to work with us on this, they can identify certain properties in targeted areas, provide us with certain programs that we qualify for, and we could pick up blocks.
Now, that's what we need to work, we need to find a grant writer, if anybody in here is one.
absolutely.
We
That's
need
right.
to
That's
start
good.
putting all of our paperwork in place, we gotta
Right.
back up.
Right.
Yeah, we
Right.
gotta have
We
something.
need to, form an LLC
We need to
together.
get structured.
Yes.
We
There's
need
no-
to, we need
there's
to
no-
put our business plan together, because the city is giving money. I mean, I've only been
And
here for
property.
years. I'm watching
They're
people get so
giving
much
money
it's
and
ridiculous.
property
You're right,
away.
yes, you're right.
Yeah, that young lady had one restaurant. She had just opened up another
It sure
one.
did.
And
Yep.
they just gave her $5 million.
$5 million.
$5 million to feed the immigrants. She didn't even have no experience hardly. You just have to show them that you got a little something. So all of us have a property. So we can show them that
We have
do
track
know
records,
how-
we have
yes.
experience.
We just gotta put
we
the
have
proper
the ability to-
paperwork in
yes.
place and form an organization. get a business plan together, we can all start working on that. Now, let's do that. I'm definitely in for that. And then we can talk about buying blocks and cleaning up the whole
We got a good business plan
whole
together.
area.
That's key.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
so
will
we
give
get
you
the
the money
funding.
for something like that because they want to improve the areas, and they give them money like crazy.
I would think especially in Pullman, West Pullman, because they've been talking about that for a while.
Oh, that's
They
coming
just
up.
gave some African lady 3.5 million on Cottage Grove. You know, like 46 in Cottage Grove. She's getting ready to put. She just has one of those little restaurants inside of. Do you know how they got them downtown? The big center and a bunch of little restaurants in there.
Yeah.
She's going to open up a synagogue.
In the food court?
I don't know how to pronounce it. In the food court. She's getting ready, they just gave her 3.5 million. She's getting ready to do a big old huge restaurant. She's gonna have apartments upstairs, and then she's gonna have a patio upstairs on like 45th in Cottage Grove. Something like, I just read this in a paper about 2 weeks ago.
That's in Brownsville.
Well,
I just picked
46
up
in
a-
Cottage, they
We're
call
about
that
to do the
Brownsville,
same
that's
thing.
still the hood, but it's being regentrified now, because everybody's buying over there now.
It's hood adjacent.
That is
Yes, it is.
Brownsville, yeah,
Hood
but,
adjacent.
yeah, but now Northwestern's putting a building there, so everything's expensive right now.
Right. So it's just like when you mentioned Woodlawn. At one point, they had multi-units going for like 125, 150, and they had and would qualify for funds from the city, where you could have what they call an ADU, and you could have a little in the back, or they were giving funds to let you dig down in the basement so that you could have a unit down there. You know, you had to qualify for it, of course, but that was all part of the basic, I would just say, Woodlawn revitalization project, because they're putting the library up. Everybody was trying to snatch up properties over there. You
Guys, I
can't,
would
it's hard to
love do
find.
that.
But
I
I
mean,
think-
it's insane.
We really need to put that in place.
We're
If
going,
we're
I
gonna-
think
What
what we're going to do,
Strip mall or
what
something.
we're going to do is, I think Jessica and I will we're gonna put our heads together, try to map out a strategy, just like you said, and put a think tank together and map out a strategy for us to move forward on this. Because I think we have the people.
I think we need to
We
have a
have the funds.
brainstorming session. If I
Yeah,
could-
mastermind.
Yeah, we could
mastermind.
do, like, we can set up a Zoom meeting and, somebody take notes, you know, we can designate people, you got your camera, videotaping everything, we can videotape our meetings, and every week we start talking about what part we can all play, because everybody's so talented. So we can designate, because that's too much work for two people.
Oh, I agree.
Right.
And you guys work and all that too.
For sure.
We can designate a task to everybody, and everybody be accountable.
I like that idea.
And then we
Yes.
all start every
Yes.
week as
I
we have
like
our
that
meetings.
idea.
We start talking about, okay, we did this, okay, you did that, let's take a look at it. What else, what do we
Because
think, you
the
know?
SIP redevelopment group is a great start as a name, and since as a entity. SIP redevelopment. And
Yeah,
that's-
we got in this because we wanted to put things together
Like
for
that.
Yes.
ourselves. So that'd be perfect for something.
You guys, I know you guys know, I've been seeing them online. Who are these black guys it's a group of black guys, they're in South Shore, and they're building a high rise.
Yeah.
Oh, he was
yeah.
he was a former police officer, so he got
Yeah.
a group together. His name is, what's his name?
I don't know his name.
Yeah, he's a former
but-
police officer. He got his guys together. They're building.
They're building a high rise,
Yeah, yeah.
unbelievable.
I would
It's
love
gonna
to
be
be
really
introduced
nice.
to
And I've
to that
been
guy. He
seeing
can guide us,
now-
guide
Yeah,
us
yeah.
through.
They just had and I missed it, or I would have gone. I saw it like 2 days after that. It was last week. They had it in Bronzeville. They had it in Bronzeville. First time home buyers come in, you guys. They'll teach you how to buy a home. So they're trying to do the same type of thing we're doing. They're trying to educate the black community as to how to, okay, let's clean up your credit. They got somebody there.
Absolutely.
What
His
do you
name is
need?
Jamal King.
All
Jamal
stuff
King.
to-
Yeah, he's a
yeah.
former police officer.
Yeah.
That's the same type
Yeah,
of thing
Jamal
we
King,
need to
yeah.
do.
My
We
church
gotta
is
start
about to
with
do that.
preparing our buyers so that when we build
My church
something,
is
we
about
got
to do
people
the
who
same
right
thing
in
in
them.
Brownsville.
Versus
It's 5 of them.
They want to.
And we're helping the
try to get
community.
I would love to sit with them.
Yeah, let's
Let's meet with those guys. I would love to meet with those guys.
Yeah, find out what we need to do to get this.
Well, Jamal ain't cheap. Now, he wants you to buy his program.
Oh, he's
That's not what we're
sales
interested in. We're interested in forming our own group
Absolutely.
and setting up our own entity to acquire our
Well, you can
own
do that,
redevelopment.
yeah.
That's really, buying somebody else's stuff.
We're
No,
not
wait a
trying
second,
to
but I'm
do
saying,
that.
you talk, he gonna
Just
tell you,
that at all.
well, I'm tell you what he gonna do, cause I know a lot of people, we was talking about him in the health club, and a lot of other police reach out to him. A lot of those guys, the firemen and all those guys, a lot of guys been successful. A lot of times they get in the program, everybody wanna see their program, because, you're not gonna get in unless you're at the skin of the game, because they made it to the top.
Yeah.
They made it to the top. They making, they got the group together. A lot of, they made that good money from the city, so they invest in the city now, or they got to form a group. So hey,
Yeah,
What
we-
health club do you
I was
have?
about to say,
Oh, yeah,
what would
finish.
prevent us from
and
doing
we
the
have
same
Which
thing?
one?
I do all of it.
No.
I've been going to the
Other than
Nothing
us
should stop it.
doing the work.
Just
That's
actually
it.
implementing. Just
Get the
implementing
work
it.
done.
On 119.
it.
Just find out
Yeah, they
what
finna
we
close
need
it
to
down.
do and how we
Do.
need to do it.
Just find out
Yeah,
what we
help
need
with
to
the
do.
Zoom.
119,
I know I can
Everybody
zoom
in here.
up to 12 people, maybe more, but I know I can zoom up to 12 people. For about an hour, maybe 2.
Yeah, that's for
Okay,
free.
good, cause,
Yeah.
Oh,
because
yeah.
anything after 40 minutes is,
Yeah.
for the first 40 minutes is free on Zoom.
Right,
Yeah.
At 40 minutes,
They cut
it'll
you
cut
off.
you off,
It
but you
will.
can sign back in.
right.
Right.
I'm like, what's the point? Why cut me off if I can sign back in and still pick up?
Yeah, but we need
I think
to
that's-
find out.
Because this is, what we're looking at
What's
now
else
is
we
only,
need to take?
it's only a small, this is only a small portion of us.
Yes,
We are much larger than what you're
Right.
looking at.
right.
And for us to be able to get a blast out and say that the next month's meeting should include everybody, because this is what we're getting ready to do.
Yes.
And we'll need everybody's input
Yes,
and their contribution.
yes.
Right.
Both, because if we're gonna, like you say, hire a grant writer, if we're gonna be hiring someone that's gonna.
We may have one in the group already, you don't even know.
Or
Exactly.
somebody knows somebody.
Exactly.
Somebody knows somebody.
Right,
That's
like,
the whole point of networking, is for us to be able.
like the young lady that did the vet thing.
Yeah, Yvette,
Yvette.
Yvette,
She might be
I
alright.
already know she knows
No,
grant
she knows.
writers.
Right.
She knows grant writers.
She's trying to do this, what you talking about, in
Riverdale.
In Riverdale.
Yeah, she ain't no trying.
She's
That's
doing
already
it.
doing.
Wow,
She's
I gotta go
doing
drive
it.
down over there and see what she doing there.
Yeah,
She's
it's the
doing
it.
veteran village of
She's
Riverdale.
creating a
Okay.
village
Yes.
right in Riverdale.
Right in Riverdale, and that's what we're trying to do, so she would know, she would have the knowledge to tell us.
To
what
walk
we-
us through,
Right. So, yes.
help us get them. And she would, she would be honored. Cause I mean, she's met a few of you guys.
Yeah.
She-
Yes, I went to a couple of meetings.
I can
I
plant
met a
the
couple guys
seed.
at the Andrew Holmes thing, and they was, I forgot, I've been so busy, I forgot to remind them of this meeting. One is a contractor, he's completely gutting a building in Woodlawn. He's actually a dean at a school. I know he'd be interested, and then another one is a HVAC guy. So I'm gonna make sure I get them in too. 'Cause
Yes,
we're gonna need all the
we
people.
need to make this next meeting.
Everybody,
Yes.
everybody needs to make it so we can
Okay,
have
so
an
that'll
open
be the
discussion
Love your
blast
passion.
that.
Beautiful.
for the next month.
Yeah,
Next
you
month.
Southside investors.
I got
Yeah, Southside investors, yeah.
Yeah.
I gave you my.
Do you have WhatsApp?
I grabbed my wrong cards. That's my construction card.
It doesn't make a
Oh,
difference. It's got the
really?
right
My
number.
phone number is.
Is it the right number?
It's the right number.
Okay,
You have
but
some more?
Chella, do you mind just passing it out to anybody? I could run out and get the other.
You can just
cards.
give your number, it'll be right here on counter.
847-778-7301.
And your company name?
RMS Real Estate in Heartland.
And what's your name?
My name's Frank Cupasso.
Thanks, Frank.
Awesome.
Thanks, Frank.
I see him
Thank you, Frank.
I'll get out of your way. It was nice to
Do you
know.
have
Yeah.
access to WhatsApp?
I'm not a techno person.
Okay.
I'm learning. I just got an Apple, which was like a leap for me.
Well, I'm gonna add you into the group, just in case.
Thank you.
You should be getting a message from me saying that you were
You
added
know
to.
how to go on your Apple Store and download an app on your phone,
Sure.
right?
Otherwise,
Jessica, you were supposed to give a list of everybody in the
And that's
group
another social media
with
thing,
us,
right?
with their
Right.
information.
Like- kinda like
so
a
we can contact
instant
them.
message.
Did that ever happen?
Yeah, I think that's already in that WhatsApp.
it's in the, if you go to WhatsApp, it's everybody's in it.
Everybody's in the group.
I didn't see it. I was looking, cause that's what I was looking for,
you
Marcus
wanna-
information.
Yeah, his name is on here.
So this was the applicant.
He's in there.
Says what's up, right?
Marcus, you
So
mean?
with our little group.
Huh?
You talking
That's
about
when I
Marcus?
was trying to find Marcus and I
Marcus is in
couldn't
there.
find him.
Now we report.
I had to call somebody to get his, I
So just
think Angelique is the
Angelique.
one that-
What's that?
one that did it.
You know,
Okay.
don't.
How do you go to even find it?
Organization,
And all of that, they would help us with this kind of stuff.
It's nice to have everyone. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we just need to know where you are.
Right.
Okay,
I go
so
to the women.
here's the members that I already had.
Now, where you go to?
Good night, Frank.
Okay,
Thank you, Frank. I'm gonna.
All right, Frank, take it
when
easy.
you get into the
Thank you for your
group,
time
you hit
today.
these
We'll
three
talk.
dots,
Oh, we'll be in
group
touch.
info,
Take care.
and then it shows you, scroll down, all the members.
All the members.
View all 28, and then all you had to do, where's Marcus Maxwell, who's the wrong person. And then you can send him a message.
Okay, I just couldn't find his telephone number, nothing. I was like,
Southside Investors.
yeah. Oh, you
Three
don't go on the
dots.
south side. You didn't go into the west side to do that.
Yeah, I'm in
Yeah,
WhatsApp.
she's in
I'm in
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp, okay, let's go back. WhatsApp.
And you can always send them a
Southside
private message.
Investors.
I looked for his stuff and I could not find it. I had to call, get Angelique to send it to me.
And then it shows all the members.
You got your phone?
And then,
Yeah, I got it.
you got an iPhone, Android?
No, I got Android.
Okay, well,
I
it
got
it should, it should be, it
Don't
should
be
be,
ashamed of having no app.
it should be the
Android.
same, it should be the same as what I just showed you.
Oh,
I got
actually,
Android too,
it's
don't be
it's
sick.
no
I got
group info.
I got one too.
I got one
That's
too.
what I'm saying. It's not, it don't show me.
Yeah,
It's
the
just what
Android.
it sounds. I just know how to pull it up.
Slamming it.